Hello and welcome to the continuation for the discussion for the topic of inheritance. Okay. So here we'll start on discussing the rules or other things to consider when we're trying to create constructors for your classes, specifically for your superclass and subclasses. So each class, so whether it is a subclass or superclass, should encapsulate its own initialization. So, meaning, ang pag-initialize ng attributes siya should be should be included in one function or specifically when trying to create an object. So usually relating to a setting, the initial state of its instance variables. Then a constructor for a superclass should deal with your general initialization. Mga purpose, di ba? Kay ang sa aton nga superclass, so it contains only the general characteristics. So therefore, ang sa constructor sa superclass should deal with general initialization. It will initialize the general attributes or general characteristics. Bali si subclass naman can have its own constructor for specialized initialization, but it must often invoke the behavior of the superclass. So before kita mag-initialize sa constructor sa atong subclass, before kita mag-initialize ang iyang attribute, so dapat initialize sa ganay o itawagon ta ang initialization sa inyong superclass. So it does this by using the keyword super. So here, ang sa example, naira kita sa, I think, yes, this is a subclass, di ba? And this is the constructor sa inyong subclass. So manotice nyo, mayara siya sa super. So since this, naging inherit na to ang class, ang superclass, may dapat ka muna initialize na attributes. Therefore, you need to initialize those attributes first. So, ang general attributes. So, using the constructor of your superclass. So, ang super nga ni just refers to your superclass na constructor. Okay. Yes. So, here, if super is called, so this refers to the superclass constructor, then this must be the first statement in the constructor. Hindi siya, usually ginabutang na siya sa babaw. Kasi pinakauna. Okay, so some of the parameters passed to my subclass will be the initializer values for your superclass instance variables. And this will be simply passed on to the superclass constructor as parameters. So in other words, your super parameters will be some or not all or all of these sub parameters. Okay. So here, meron kita some, no. So this is the constructor for your publication. So we will define the title, the price, and then the copies. And this is your constructor for the class book. And for the class book, so we are calling the super. Essentially, we are calling this one. Tinatawag namin siya ang bilogin na constructor. And then followed by the initialization of the characteristics that are specific to the book. So, si author man is specific lang siya sa book. So, again, ang sa first line, so this will initialize the general attributes that is related or connected or present in your superclass. While sa author naman, or sa book, so this one. So it will initialize the characteristics or attributes that is specific to your subclass. Okay. So there are some rules that exist in creating a superconstructor or invoking a superconstructor in your subclass constructors. So let's say if a superclass has a parameterless constructor, so ang ato nga constructor wala sa parameters, empty lang ang iyang parameters. So this will be called automatically if no explicit call super is made. Okay na? So we are ginatawagan na siya kahit di kita gubotang kita super to say nga we will initialize the general attributes. So but if for example sa publication dire wala ni unod ang ang aton nga parameters. So when trying to invoke that on the subclasses, pwede lang siya nga omit automatically. Okay. Okay, so amo na ang this one. Ang the first example here shows the superclass na, na wala sang parameters ang iyang constructor. So therefore, when trying to create a constructor sa atong na subclass, so okay lang nga hindi siya ano, hindi siya include or i-state. Hindi na kamo magtawag sa super. Okay. So for this one, ang second nga ni is we have two types of constructors. Bale, default constructor, wala sang unod, and then mayroon kita sang constructor na may unod. So we need to have a parameter else. So in this case, ang atong na subclass can have not really can have but do hindi ba na siya pwede? Okay. Okay. So I think pwede siya gali. Pwede man siya gyapon. Pero kung hindi ni mag-declare ang super, so wala bisang super dire, automatically ang kinakolya is your parameterless na constructor, your default constructor. But if ang aton nga superclass only contains a constructor nga may parameter gid siya nga name. So wala presence ang default constructor. So therefore ang atong nga subclass must call super nga may nga may parameter nga gina-access. Here to enforce encapsulation, so we normally make instance variables private and provide your access and accessor and mutator methods as necessary. So in order to access or to modify these private variables. So here meron kita sa copy methods sa publication needs to alter the value of the variable copies, but it can do this even if copies is a private variable. Okay, so this one kay si sa copy, this is attached to the publication na. So kag si copies also harap man siya sa publication. So there is no problem in accessing the parameter or the attribute although naka-private siya. So however, si book kag si magazine both since siya gina-inherit niya, they need to alter copies. Pero wala na sila access kay si sa copies na variable only exist or ang scope niya lang sa publication. Okay. So there are two ways para ma-access ang book kag magazine ng aton nga copies. One, to make copies protected. So instead of private, protected ang iyang access modifier. So this makes protected visible and accessible to subclasses. Or we can create an accessor and mutator method. So these methods access your accessor gets or sets the private variable. So we put these accessor and mutator methods in your superclass. Kaya si superclass, they contain the private, or they usually contain the private variable. So in this case, mabutang kita sa accessor kag mutator methods sa publication na class. Okay. So for variables, we generally prefer to create accessors or mutators rather than to compromise encapsulation through protected. Okay. So as these accessor methods are public or protected, they can be used within a subclass whenever your or when access So copies is required. Okay. So in our superclass, so publication would therefore have so meron siya accessor kag mutator na function. So this one is your accessor. So ginagat niya accessor, or we can say this is a getter. So gakuha siya sa private nga variable. Yung ginakuha niya. And then setter. So the other term for your accessor what methods is setter. So gastat siya sang value. So here it will set whatever value sang empty copies nga ni to the copies na variable. So as currently written, they don't have actually impose any restrictions. But suppose, for example, we want to make sure copies is not set to a negative value. So here, if copies is private, so we can put a validation within this copies. So we can put some logic in your in setting before setting the value of your private variable. So parang di siya in setting a rule or a logic, di ba? Hindi siya mag-negative, hindi siya mag-string. So ang data nga na can never be compromised. So if copies is partially exposed as protected, so we would have to look at every occasion where subclass method change the instance variables and do the validations at each separate place. Okay. So here we might even consider making these methods protected rather than public themselves. So their use is restricted to subclasses only. And other classes cannot interfere with the value of copies. So instead of public, pwede na sila nga, ano lang, yung set as protected. Okay, so making use of these methods in subclasses, we have so this one. So this is your getter, the function being used in, in another method in your book na class. While sa aton nga receive issue sa magazine, so we are using the set copying method. So remember, so the get copy and set copy are initialized or defined in your publication. So this statement are equivalent na siya. So medyo ano lang, medyo what's this? Medyo tricky kay we are calling the function. So same lang na siya sa n copies is equals to so ang new value ng copies is equals to ang current value ng copies plus ang new copies nga i-add ta. And then ang sa dalam niya ang pag-set, di ba? So we are setting the new value of your copies to the order quantity. So for next is we have abstract classes. So this idea of publication, which is not a book or magazine, is meaningless. So ang ano ay it means ang class ng publication. So meaningless, wala siya sa purpose other than to be inherited by your subclasses. So if we want to deal with the new type of publication, it is generally neither book or magazine. So it will be natural to become another new subclass of publication. So as ang purpose ng publication is to only be inherited, so hindi na siya ma-instantiate, so we will never create objects of this type, and the only purpose of this class is to gather together the generalized features of its subclass. Wala nang purpose yan. So here we can enforce the fact that publication is non-instantiable by declaring it abstract. When we say abstract, hindi na kamo ka-create sa instance. Sa inyo nga code, hindi kamo ka-hambal nga publication 1 is equals to new publication. Hindi pwede. So using the keyword or modifying it as abstract class, so hindi na kamo instantiate. Okay. So let's move on sa overriding methods. So a subclass inherits the method of its superclass and must therefore always provide at least that set of methods and often more. So however, the implementation of the method can be changed in a subclass. Di ba na-inherit ang subclass? ang method nga na from the parent class, but if you want or if you want that subclass to perform or to behave or that method to behave differently from the superclass na method, so you can do so by overriding. So gina-override ta siya, gina-override ta na siya ang ano. So meaning do ginasampawan ta. Gina yes, do gina-cover ta. So we are implementing a new method but with the same method name. To do this, we write a new version in the subclass which replaces the inherited one. Okay, so imagine meron kita isang special category sa magazine box which has a disk attached to each copy. You can call this a disk magazine, and we would like to create a subclass of this to deal with your disk magazine. So when a new issue arrives, not only do we want to update the current stock, but we also want to check that the disks are currently attached. So therefore, we want some additional functionality in the receive new issue method to remind of us to do this. So in this case, makikita kita sa new class called this magazine. So, diba? So that this magazine will inherit the properties of your magazine as well as may inherit man to ang sa publication. So, ang gusto ko lang diri is to have or to revise the functionality or the method nga receive new issue. Kaya may ano kita, may attribute kita nga need i-update. And then this attribute is only found in your this magazine. Okay. So ang definition sa receive issue overrides the inherited one. Here, mara kita, di ba? Sang receive new issue sa aton nga ang superclass. So in this case, superclass niya siya ang magazine. Then ang subclass ang aton nga this magazine. So therefore, we declare sa aton nga YAML sa aton nga class diagram na si this magazine will have a new or will override the receive new issue. So here, magazine is not affected, so it will retain its original definition of its receive new issue. So si receive new issue nga newly overridden, so will only affect your this magazine. So doon nag-define kita dire, this one will behave the same. So by showing that receive new issue, this magazine was stating that the inherited method is being overridden, i.e., yes, being replaced. So, but ang common term there is overridden, as we do not show the inherited methods in your subclasses. So kung dito na siya pag-display, dire, wala, empty lang, meaning yung inherit lang sa this magazine ang inyong magazine. But since we're implementing a new method, but we are trying to update the method or create a new flow sa receive issue. That is why we've stated sa ating class diagram that there is a new receive issue. Although same name lang siya. Okay, so here, we must create a subclass of magazine using extend. So see, this mag will extend a magazine, not the publication, but the magazine. Okay, so here are the constructor for this magazine will process all of its parameters directly to the superclass, and the version you issue is defined this magazine to override the inherited one from the okay. So amo na ni ang overridden method ta. Although this receive new issue is present man to sa magazine ta. But we are implementing a new so this new line of code we implement is this one. Si check this attached to this magazine. So wala ni siya sa sa magazine nga receive new issue. Okay. So this one wala man sa new attributes ang aton nga this magazine, ang behavior lang sa method nga receive new issue ang isenta. Okay. And then manotice nyo, nag-call kita sa super. Yeah, super dire. So meaning this refers to the superclass siya. Superclass nga method. So although this yung bata nga yung override na siya, but we can still access. So ang method gani can, or this class can still or can also have access to the previous or to the overridden method. So this one will behave just like what is stated in the magazine na class. So kung ano matong inobra, so that will happen here. Okay. Diba? But ang newer nga code that will appear or that will be outputted in your receiving issue is that may print siya sa console na check this attached to this. Okay. So next is the object class. So in Java, all objects that you've created are subclasses na siya. Automatically, subclasses na siya sa class called object. This one is the root of your inheritance hierarchy in Java. So thus, this class exists in every Java program ever created. So wala lang tagi na state. Sa atong nga superclass, wala tagi na state nga extends object. So automatically ginaset mo na sa Java. So if a class is not declared to extend another, then it implicitly extends object. So wala lang ginastate. So object defines no instance variables but several methods. Ang methods nga na, so that's when we define our own classes. So by default, they are direct subclasses to your object. So in our UML, so wala na siya ginapakita. Kay this is only in your Java side. In the technical side only siya. So normally, when we create your UML, we only create or display those UML that are interacting with each other. So wala na siya. So here, over the string to string, so may ara kita since yung inherit ang aton nga superclass yung is a subclass of the object, so may ara siya nga method nga to string. So tanan na siya. So when we create a superclass, publication, your animal, your ano pa na siya, yung bank cards, kung mag-create ka mo sa Java, automatically may inherit siya nga to string. So one of the several useful methods has the signature to string. So its purpose is to return a string value that represents the current object. So here, those specific na string ang gina-display or gina-kuha ya. So the version of the string defined by the object produces like this. So book at 11671b2. So this refers to the class name, diba? Class name, and then the hash code of your object. So the hash code related na siya sa memory. So in your publication, so you can do your simple override. Diba? To string, you can define a to string nga function. So this, when override, so hindi na ma-display ang book at 11671b2, but we will return the title of your publication na lang. So also, we can override this method to in your subclasses. So for example, sa book and then sa magazine. Sa magazine, pwede taka-state nga to string nga method, and then in this case, mara kita. So super to string, so again, so although being override ang to string, so we can still have access or we can still refer to the um to, to the overridden method stated in your superclass. Okay, so ang bag-o lang diri is i-combine ang title and then by and then combine in the name of the author. And then sa magazine naman, so again, combine na siya ang super to string that is inherited from the publication. So i-display ang title plus and then ang current issue. Okay, so the to string method has been overridden again in books such that the book to string returns only the title and the author. So the to string, diba, you only display the relevant information with regards to book and then sa magazine. So different ang information in the string. Okay, so if publication to string was rewritten to return the title and ISBN, then book to string would return the title, ISBN, and author. Okay, so magazine returns title, and the issue. Yes. This one, the version inherited is okay. So we would choose to provide more data in all these strings. Usually, so instead of ano siya, creating a method na display information or display data, so we can override the constraint na method. Okay, so in summary, the inheritance allows us to factor out common attributes and behaviors. Inheritance, we determine the common attributes and behaviors of your classes. So we model these commonalities using a superclass, and then these subclasses are used to model specialized attributes and behaviors. So sa superclass, common behaviors, common attributes, and then subclass is specialized attributes. While sa Codia is inherited to all subjects. Okay, so code in a superclass is inherited to all subclasses. So all of the properties of superclass is inherited by its subclasses. And so when we're trying to create classes for subclasses, and then so we try to apply special rules to constructors. And then here you can state the superclass. You can declare it as abstract to prevent it from being instantiated. So para hindi siya magamit ng program. Aside from and to be inherited by your subclasses. Then we can override inherited methods so that subclass implements an operation differently from its superclass. Yun ang method overriding. So in Java, all classes descend from the class object. Object defines some universal operations which can usefully be overridden in your own classes. Or you can use it in your own, in your own way. So that's all for this topic. So thank you for watching and see you on the next one.